Welcome to Uncorked, Wine, Business, and Life with Bill Green. I'm Jerrold Colton, your host, and we are here in a beautiful setting, Bill, with a very special guest.
We are my good friend, Dr. Lewis Gold. Lou, thank you for being here.
Pleasure to be here.
Lou has, Lou lives in my neighborhood here in Boca Raton, Florida. An amazing business story. And he's also, so far to date, I think he's going to be our best wine person. So I'm really excited to talk to Lou. And I want to just backdrop a little bit. So I meet Lou probably about 10, 11 years ago. And I kind of tell this story only because I think you just have to give people chances. I was not a big Lou Gold fan the first night at dinner. I don't know what it was. I came home that night. I actually got in the car with my wife and I said, I don't know about that guy. Something's a little off. I said, you know what? He's got to be a great guy because when we were doing the whole, who do you know, where you're from? He's a Philly guy, been in Florida for 40 years.
Over 40 years.
Over 40 years. He told me he went to Pine Forest Camp. So I know a lot of people that went to Pine Forest Camp. And he goes, well, who do you know? And I said, Leon Rose, who we all know is president of New York Knicks today. Lou, tell me what your role at Pine Forest Camp and Leon Rose was.
Yeah, so Leon and I go way back. I was a counselor at Pine Forest Camp during the time Leon was a camper, a homesick camper. The interesting thing about that is the camp offered me, at that time, big money, $250 to take care
For the summer.
To take care of Leon, because Leon was a basketball player and I also was a basketball player, and he was a little kid, Leon, and I was probably 10, 12 years older as a counselor. So basically every night after dinner, it was my job to basically grab Leon and play basketball with him for an hour and a half so that he wouldn't be homesick. And from that point, which was obviously years ago, Leon and I have remained great friends and continue to stay in touch. And obviously with Billy's friendship and others, it all comes around. But
and for me, you know, I don't know if you didn't tell that story about Leon, if we'd be sitting here together today, but it really didn't take much past our second dinner together where I just knew you were going to be one of my closest friends, and you are one of my closest friends today. So again, thank you for being on Uncorked. And Lou, you've had such a diverse career. You went to Temple Med, and you started out as tell your medical story and why that was short-lived.
Sure. So I went to med school in Philadelphia. I'm from Philadelphia, Temple Med. Decided my brother was living in Miami. Decided to come down to Miami for my residency in anesthesia. So came down to Miami and came down to Miami in '82 and did my residency at University of Miami. Went into private practice as an anesthesiologist and pain doctor. And
it's big money even back then, right? I mean, that was big money in anesthesia.
For me, I mean, I came from nothing, to be honest with you. I mean, lovely parents, never went to college, typical story. My brother and I were the first people in the family ever to go to college. So at the end of the day, making a six-figure salary was something I never...
In 82.
In 82 was something I never dreamed of. But I sort of had a bigger goal to sort of develop something on the business side of healthcare as opposed to just staying as a practicing physician.
So talk about the Sheridan Health story, which is such an amazing business story for somebody that never really had any practical everyday business, right? We do know that doctors are really smart guys, so they're going to figure it out, but not every doctor is going to be a successful business person. And
Two different skill sets. Very
different. And had zero business background, zero. So my partner and I decided that there was a bigger play than just being a day-to-day practicing physician, which I enjoyed, but I sort of wanted to create something different. So At the time, Sheridan, there were 17 partners, and we sold to private equity at that point. And our first sale was to TA Associates, which was a
Nice.
pretty well-known private equity entity out of Boston. They took my partner and I and put us as the two key executives to develop a roll-up of not just anesthesia, but what we refer to and I refer to as hospital-based services. So anesthesia, radiology, neonatology, emergency room services. So hospitals would contract with us to provide services to them. And we would provide the physicians, PAs, nurse anesthetists, whatever it was. As we created this, a lot of different scenarios, both positive and negatives. As you know, building a business is not easy. Obviously, people ask the question all the time, like, how did you even know a spreadsheet? How did you even know what an EBITDA was? I just, sort of learned it and basically surrounded myself, with, high-end people as our executives. So that was my first key, is I have to really learn the business of business,
And Bill, it's really interesting how this was not where Lou intended to go out of med school, I'm sure. And you're going along making a
is
nice
correct.
living and probably living the life you feel like you could live forever. But it's the ability to recognize opportunity and pivot and put your skill set together to other use. And it's
Yeah, and think about what is in his DNA, that entrepreneurship. The man was pinching himself that he was getting a 6-figure salary, right? As a doctor, hit nirvana, and threw it all out the window to be a business
and
person.
he didn't even know what it stood for. I think what Lou speaks of makes such great points. And that is, he goes to med school, he's working as a doctor, he's living the life he couldn't even dream of living, and then he pivots. He takes all that skill set and uses it to something that he wasn't even familiar with.
So that's the most interesting thing of this when I look back at it and talk to people and mentor people. So at the time that we sold, doesn't matter, I was making about $500,000, okay, which was huge.
And what year is that? Approximately
92, 93.
That is a lot of money in
Yeah.
92, 93 world.
Yeah, so our partner
People has it all. It's all. You got rolled up pennies. It
was a great living. But the story, and I'm saying the story is, this is, if I had to teach anything, the story is, I was making $500,000. They brought the practice private equity, and every physician, the 17 partners, cashed in for around $2.5 million, which to me was, oh my God, $2.5 million at capital gains, put $2 million in the bank, I'm set for life. That was sort of my belief. Then the private equity comes to me and says, listen, we want you to be president of the company, and here's the deal. You can't keep any of that money that we're giving. You have to roll it into equity in the company. And your new salary is going to be $250,000. So you're going to drop from 5 to 250, and all your partners are going to get that money, but you're going to move on and hopefully create something very valuable. So I come home to my wife, who, Bill and his wife were very close, and I said, well, here's the good news and the bad news. And she sort of looked at me, but then I looked back and I said, and she'll remember this conversation, I said, listen, it's probably a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If it craters, I always can go back to being a physician and making a nice living. But if it hits, I've changed really the trajectory of my life. So
it's risk, and it's risk. That is what entrepreneurs do. They take risk. And without it, they're probably not much of an entrepreneur.
He went from hitting what could be, my life is set, to a pay cut and giving up his nest egg at that point. And obviously it led to a whole lot of other stuff.
Give a background of, the next chapter of Sheridan Health.
So Sheridan, during my time with Sheridan, we grew a unbelievable. We started in the state of Florida. By the time I exited, we were in 23 states, 5,000 providers, providing services at hospitals all over the country. During my time with Sheridan, took the company public, and then went private, and did 3 private equity transactions. So we did TA Associates, we did John Childs, and our last one was Hellman Friedman. And then Hellman Friedman and us, my partner and I, and others, investors, ended up selling Sheridan north of $2 billion to a public company. And we exited at that point.
And what was the Goldman Sachs?
So Goldman was not involved in that company. They're involved in my present company. That's where the pivot was.
We're going to go to that. But before we pivot and talk about the next move, which is just amazing, right? We have these guests, and it's never just one move, right? It's multiple moves.
Well, maybe it should be only one.
Like after Sheridan, you guy could just sit and golf and not worry about it. No different than the risk he took when he was a doctor to do that.
And what happened with your partners that did cash out?
That is a very long story, but just very quickly, they cashed out. We're supposed to go away. They saw that what we were creating, my partner and I, was really growing. They ended up suing us in litigation and thinking that, none of this was disclosed, and it was obviously all disclosed by big New York lawyers and everything, that the private equity could do whatever. They owned the company. And we ended up prevailing on that. But for 2-3 years, it was very messy.
Bad choice.
You probably didn't even know that part of it.
Lou, let's, I love talking about business, but I love talking about wine. So grab this one.
Which one?
So the one over there with the tag on it.
Go this one first.
And this is a 2000 La Mission Haut-Briand. You're going to love it. It's got, the typical Bordeaux. You're tasting the earth, and it's rated 100 by Parker, and it's just such a fantastic, fantastic wine. I just love the colors of this. It's like artwork.
Cheers.
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 Yeah, that's tremendous.
Right?
Yeah, really smooth.
Go for a nice steak.
And Lou has had a lot of good wines in his life.
Lou,
mainly through Billy, but my own collection's okay. But
Lou was part of an investment group that bought Custer Brown, a large winery out in Napa. You discuss that, and then we're going to pivot over to your current business.
Yes, I was a healthcare operating partner and an investor with J.W. Childs, who was one of the private equity partners that been involved in Sheridan. We were one of his best investments ever, so he asked me to come in and do healthcare assets for them. But their portfolio had retail, and they had acquired Costa Brown, held it for 4 or 5 years, and sold it. Listen, I didn't even know these wineries could make money.
Trust me, you really can't. It's egos.
I thought that was an anomaly.
Yeah.
But these guys were really good operators, and we ended up selling that to Duckhorn around, say, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah. So Lou, talk about the next move. And it's just so fascinating because it was so really different than what you had done before. And, your medical background was less important, but what was more important of operating multi-unit businesses that have a focus on people's health.
So I sold Sheridan, sort of went out to pasture. As Bill knows, I had some health issues, and I said, enough's enough. And my wife says, what are you doing? Just my partner and I started a family office for investments. I would say 80% of investments in some type of healthcare portfolio. And someone came to us about looking at a substance and alcohol treatment center outside Orlando in a small town called Umatilla, which you would never even hear of. I'd never even heard of it. Went up, visited, just as purely as an investment, nothing more. Decided, hey, interesting space, did a lot of research on the space, sort of, unfortunately, society has their issues with substance and alcohol, and these treatment centers, if done legitimately, and being physicians, my partner and I, seemed like an interesting business to invest, not necessarily operate. In fact, we had no intention of operating. Long story short, there were 7 investors, my partner and I, 2 of them. We each put up $700,000 for this one facility. It became very clear to me as soon as we closed on this deal, no one knew anything. They didn't know that basically a patient would come in and you wouldn't get paid for 90 days, so you'd have this accounts receivable sitting out there, but no cash flow. So, of course, my partner and I had to engage more and more in this business. Somehow word got out on the street, on Wall Street, that, hey, Lou Gold is back in business and we would like to back them. And so we had a lot of private equity. The place had just opened, literally had just opened, talking to us about coming in and partnering with us on a substance and alcohol treatment platform. We chose Goldman Sachs private equity, and it's actually out of their own partnership fund, which is called Broad Street Capital. If people know that, some people do, and that's their own partnership. Putting money into their fund. So they partnered with us on this alcohol and substance treatment center
And that was what year?
around 9 years ago.
And how many units you have today?
So today we have about, give or take, 1,000 to 1,100 beds in multiple states. They're all like mini hospitals. They're all inpatient little facilities. Not that little, they average about 80 to 100. So we have like 13, 14 facilities across the country right now.
And the fact that we drink so much wine, Jerrold and I drink so much wine because we're shooting so
You can get a discount.
episodes. Yeah, I hope you got a bed for me. This is
A discounted bed.
Thank you.
It's hard to come.
We have to have a discount, right?
Exactly.
But Lou, it must feel so good to have a business that's doing so much good and so needed while still being successful.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of bad actors in the substance and alcohol treatment that are just out there for the money. As you can imagine, being physicians and caring about people and caring about their health. My partner and I said, we're going to do this the right way and create something the right way, as opposed to a lot of the other entities. So it's a great experience. We, as Bill probably knows, we did a deal with We did a relationship with the International Association of Firefighters, which is 400,000 union members, union firefighters that are taking care of the LA fires now. They're doing all this. Firefighters have a significant substance and alcohol issue. They're, think about it. A lot of them are ex-military. They're living in a firehouse 24 hours at a time, the old college mentality. Afterwards, let's go grab some drinks and stuff. So we opened up a facility. We were chosen for them to be their preferred provider. We opened up a facility for them in Maryland. You have to be a union firefighter to access the facility. And it's a 30-day treatment facility. So great people doing really good stuff for them. So it's that one sort of warms my heart, if you will.
Yeah, really.
We built up the line that word got out on Wall Street. Somehow word got out on Wall Street that Lou Gold is back in business.
It really is a small community, believe it or not. I mean, not too different than what happened to me in 2003 when, I was kind of wandering aimlessly at 43 years old. What am I going to do next after selling my first company? Yeah. And, next thing I know, my phone's ringing from a private equity shop and they say, we want you to come and sit on a board and invest some money alongside of you. And it's just, it's just a small world. And Lou's been an amazing benefactor of his reputation. But I think what's really important, and same with me, where you do business with somebody for years, you guys have successful exits, and then the same players come back. And that tells you something, because a lot of these deals, they never want to see the guy again because something didn't go right. And to Lou's testament, he's a stand-up guy and he's an amazing family man. Lou and Lou's a much better golfer than me, so we don't spend a lot.
I used to be, Bill.
No, I know. I saw it last time. I don't know if you know, I beat Gottsig in 9 holes straight up the other day. I shot a 45. That was, I think, the best. Yeah.
Like I said, I used to be a better golfer than you.
I know. You're a much better golfer. You're a much better golfer than me. But you're such a great family man. You have 2 amazing kids, and we're gonna have the opportunity to talk to Stuart soon. He's going to be a guest on Uncorked. That's a whole other awesome entrepreneurial story. Not too different than you. That your son left law to go into business and
left law, moved to England.
To go. And
what a role model he had.
Yeah, what an amazing role model.
Yeah, don't tell my wife that.
So Lou is more of a Napa wine guy than he is a Bordeaux guy. Am I right?
That's correct.
Right. You do a little bit of Italian. You have a really beautiful cellar.
I like Italian, but Napa is sort of my go-to.
It's your go-to. I mean, you were kind of in the business, right? Or you at least understood the business. You knew who the players, but you know the reputation that Colgan has. So we're gonna taste Colgan next. So this is a 2013 Colgan Tennessee.
This one.
So different, so awesome. And I would probably say the profile of this wine is similar to that of Realm, the Beast. Would you not say?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, and I have Colgan. I've been at Colgan's winery. I think it's very similar. I would tell you Realm is probably, as you always accuse me of being, too bold.
It is big.
Too robust.
It's big.
So Bill and I have these discussions all the time. So I think Colgan may be even a more sensitive wine.
Would you call it maybe a little more Bordeaux style?
I would think that's a perfect description.
Right. Well, it's a blend, right? And that's what we're drinking all the time. So take a little taste. Oh, get the willies.
Oh.
I need a steak.
So good. So good. Lou, I tie in a little bit to your past. I mean, we intertwined through Philadelphia. Maybe not exactly the mean streets of Haverford you were, but I was from Cherry Hill, and the Leon Rose connection was a lot of basketball together. And then we wound up living together after law school and playing for a team that was named after Pine Forest Camp in the Jewish Basketball League, and being inducted into the Philadelphia Jewish Hall of Fame together, and couldn't be prouder of him. And I'm sure you did a great job as a counselor, because he grew up real well, and he overcame those home separation anxieties. But it's just such a remarkable story.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love Leon. So we were staying at Billy's, my wife and I. Remember this around 3-4 years ago down in Longport, and Leon came over to say hello and see me, and Billy was there with a few of our friends from St. Andrews, and one is like Artie Grossbar diehard, like sports fan. So Leon comes in, gives me a big hug, and like, I can't believe it. And he turns to Artie, he says, like, Lou is one of my favorite persons in the world. Remember this? And Artie says, like, you did LeBron, you did all these guys, and you're telling Lou Gold is one of your favorite persons. So
that's Leon.
Yeah, Leon has never forgotten, the relationship we had, to his credit.
And it's all about the family. With Leon, his father Zevros, I saw them recently at a Knicks game together. You know, that he's still fortunately getting there and being. Leon points to what's going on with him in the Knicks, sort of as something that still drives him at this stage of his life. But it's in the case of the Pine Forest history that you guys have together. The Black family is unbelievable. Mickey Black, the proprietor, the starter, the founder of it, just passed away recently at over 100 years old. So. To Mickey Black and all the connections he made to this world.
Mickey Black.
Exactly.
Well, Lou, I really want to thank you for joining us on Uncorked. I know this is going to get 1 million views when they.
That could be likes or dislikes.
Yeah, well, it could be likes. That's true. We're going to say we're going to get a million likes.
Isn't that the old adage that it doesn't matter which way?
Right.
Them to like.
Well, thank you, my brother.
Gentlemen, real pleasure.
Lou Gold.
Thank you. Thank
Dr. Lou Gold.
you. Jerrold.
Gold is
Invent
fine.
yourself over and over again and make it all work.
Thank you, gentlemen. Real pleasure.